Welcome to the Quick 10 podcast, brought to you by Trac, focusing on all things FedCon and cyber defense from different perspectives and different personalities, all in 10-ish minutes. Here's your host, Derek White.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Quick 10 podcast here live and in person at a industry conference called CUI-Con down here in Orlando, Florida. And today I am joined by Rachel Bassford from DEFCERT, friends of ours for many, many, many years. But you are newer to the company, so thank you for coming on and spending a few minutes with us to talk about all the things and all the stuff.
Awesome. I'm ready for it. I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Thank you, and we're kicking this event off today, which is great. We did this same event a year ago down in Tampa and did the same kind of setup, so it's kind of fun to see some people. I didn't have you on at that one, but because you were newer to your organization, so I want to talk a little bit about that. But you are a CUI Consultant, and you work for an incredible company called DEFCERT, so look that one up if you're watching or listening. Tell us a little bit about your role, what kind of customers you guys are working with, and what you're kind of seeing now versus maybe what things look like, you know, if you want to get into your past role and responsibilities versus what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for having me on. This is a lot of fun. So essentially what I do now, I get to geek out for a living. I get to literally just investigate a company's CUI boundary. So I get to dig into everything, types of contracts that they have, type of information, the services, the products that they do for the government. And there's a lot of power in understanding what you do and the services you provide to the government. And when it comes to CUI, for somebody like me, you know, something about my past is I was part of the team that wrote the executive order. So there's like about 10 of us who've been there from the beginning who actually understands like what CUI actually is and what it was trying to do. So with DEFCERT, it's kind of like the dream job. I get to work for one of the greatest people in the industry, and then I get to just do what I thought I would never I thought I would never get back into doing CUI, but here I am, right? And so, and I work with all companies, large companies, small companies, mid-sized companies, and they all just have the same question. They just want to all do the right thing, and they just want to know like what's in scope and what's out. And so before you even have the technology discussion, it really is just breaking down like how does information travel through your entire organization. That's
been one of the number one staples of DEFCERT, and Ryan Bonner, who started everything there. We've known, I mean, back before there was a CMMC, or any kind of ecosystem as it's called now. That has been one of the things that's been really comforting, because we've had to engage there too, where you know, someone who's in a provider spot like we are as a vendor, we don't necessarily want to be the ones to tell them exactly everything, because it's not night and day. And the worst scenario, in my opinion, this is like the most frightening scenario, is someone who has DFAR 7012, NIST 171 requirements, and they have no clue whether they have CUI or not, and they can't get an answer. So then it's like the natural human thing, right, is to just do as little as possible and just figure it out later, versus how do you do that when you're a manufacturing shop? How do you do that when you're, like you said, it's all over the place. So where do you guys start with something like, let's say someone comes to you and says, okay, CUI Consultant, I need help, and they're at your feet, and like you said, and a lot of the dib now, and people want to do it right. They want to spend as little amount as they can, because it's still a return on investment.
That's right.
Yeah, but where do you start when they look up and say, help us? Where do you really want to go first as a CUI consultant with someone who just doesn't know? Yeah.
So a lot of what we do is we take the time to learn about you. So it's about a 8 to 10 week engagement. So if it's a pure CUI scoping engagement, it's about 8 to 10 weeks. Kind of the first step is learning about you as the company. How long have you been in business? What do you do? Who are your typical customers? Are you a prime? Are you a sub? Are you hybrid? All of those kind of questions, like it's setting the framework, right? And then the next step down would be, all right, talk me through your contracting profile. Like, give me your 3 contracts that really represent your federal customer footprint. And things like, is it a firm fixed price? Is it an IDIQ? Is it a MATOC? Like those kind of contract types, people don't think like, well, why would you want to know that as a consultant? I can actually tell you a lot about how a contract is structured and who the customer is, right? So that would be the second piece. The third piece is getting into document marking. Like, what are you actually receiving from a client or a customer? So are you receiving, it's not just the CUI marking, are you getting the export control warnings? Are you getting restrictive legends? Because, we have companies that own their IP, but the government 5 years later will share them back their own information marked as CUI, right? So we're trying to figure out, all right, where do you land in that type of scenario, right? And then the fourth stage being, okay, we're going to document your data flow. So as we know in CMMC world 3.1.3, huge part of that is documenting the flow of CUI, right? So it's like, how does it, as is in your current state infrastructure flow? And then something that we do at DEFCERT is we then will also do the recommendation. So we break down, okay, here's the types of CUI you're receiving. Some clients actually don't have any. And it turns out it's like, nope, you're good to go. This is actually not a CUI problem, it's something else. But then we also recommend like, all right, this is how the information is flowing right now. Here are your assets. Here are all of the things that this information is touching, and this is what comprises your boundary. And that, I think, is a service that a lot of companies aren't hyper-focusing on. They do it in conjunction with, here's your boundary, here's how we can help you, and that's fine. But I think what I love about DEFCERT, it's truly just hyper-focusing on, because the tech stack really, in my view, you can quickly and more efficiently make decisions when you know your boundary. When you don't know it, you're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
Which is essentially what the problem with the industry was 6-7 years ago.
100%.
I did an assessment. I don't really know what I'm assessing, so I'm going to say all gaps or not a lot of gaps, because I don't really want to make changes or I need to make changes. And we saw some of these programs running where you get a cheap assessment, you get cheap results, but now it's not so much about the education piece is huge for some areas, but other places it's just what will mean. And there it used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, as a CUI consultant, you weren't in this role before, but it's hard to it used to be harder to make a recommendation because nobody knew. I mean, there's software tools. There's all different types of things out there where they didn't even know if they were meeting the intent of these things. And so that I have one final question along that. And so these are not written down. So this is on the fly, hot seat type stuff here.
I love it.
So the scenario you highlighted there at the end, will you help them or guide them in the way when you do all what you just said, you discover, you dive, and they don't have CUI, but when they get caught in that purgatory, but you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, because I don't want it to come off as this is the answer, but what do you do with those that are freaking out, doing all these things, have it all in their solicitations, and then you drill down and it's not really a CUI situation?
Yeah, this is where, and I think kind of tapping into where I came from, working for a Fortune 500 facilities construction company. The one thing I had to learn the hard way is I can't fact check you out of how you feel about something. Like, I just can't. Like, I mean, I can give you the best information. I could be the oracle, but I can't fix how you feel about something. So I think with companies like that who fall into the, okay, you actually aren't handling any CUI, it's a business decision at that point. Like, all right, and it's really client dependent, right? So if your federal customers GSA, right,
Yep.
GSA has been very clear on what they consider to be CUI at GSA. Building information, you can source the authority, you can look up things like, okay, how is a federal facility ranked, like the facility security level, stuff like that. GSA's gotten very good. So with contracts, right, like a lot of companies haven't seen a lot of this stuff yet, but it's coming, right? The government will get better at marking. I think what this ecosystem is going to force the government to do what they haven't wanted to do, which is actually go through their whole holdings. It's hard. You have to throw a lot of resources, a lot of money to figure out what you have. So it's really a business decision. If GSA is your client and you're doing facilities and construction, I can almost guarantee you, 75% at least, that you are going to see marked building information as CUI. And like, that's just like, I can't tell you when it's going to come, but like, it's probably a foregone conclusion, right? So it's really at that point, you know what a company has to do is convince their C-suite if this is something that they're going to do or not going to do.
Yeah.
And so it's just saying, you know, right now you're fine, but like you may not be fine in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a hard thing to help with any company because they just want to know what to do.
It's the whole starting with a budget, working yourself backwards versus understanding what you need to know in order to build an effective budget. And well, thank you, because that's a tough spot, and I'm with you. It's gotten better, but it is a heck of a lot easier to wrap security requirements and controls around something you know you have and what it looks like and smells like and walks like, which is nice.
That's right.
So, well, thank you. Final thing for you. And you get to look at the camera if you want, but you don't have to. This one right here. Where do people find more about DEFCERT? And if they want to connect with Rachel, where do they go?
Oh my goodness. Definitely go to DEFCERT.com. Look me up on LinkedIn. I'm very active. I'm usually posting maybe 2 or 3 times a week on the recent SAM notice that comes out and what level is being required at solicitation. Of course, go see Ryan anytime Ryan talks. Ryan is just, he's the smartest, kindest human, and like, trust me, in this space, it's just such an honor to work for somebody like that. So, and anytime Ryan is out there, just watch what he has to say. There's always gems. So.
Well said. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate it. We'll have you back on.
Awesome.
Maybe we'll do a combo deal with you and Ryan and something when we can get into some more details of stuff, because there's some scenarios that you can just tell in the last 3-4 months that have started to pop up that people weren't aware of that you're talking about, and to see where those are starting to fall would be super helpful.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you.
And we'll catch everybody next time.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to this episode, and make sure to subscribe to the Cuick 10 podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out on YouTube as well. For more information about Trac, visit our website at www.cuicktrac.com. That's CUICKTRAC.com.